Hi, this is Ashok here. I help individuals get breakthrough in their struggle with the most important and a painful question of their life, that is, what to do with my life, through my unique insights, writing, coaching, training, and consulting solutions. So, the today's topic is why I'm struggling in my career, the conflict of interest. So before I move on, I just want to define interest for you because interest has many definitions. So in its very simplest form, I can say anything which grabs your attention is your interest. Anything attracts or pulls you is your interest. Anything makes you curious, enthusiastic, motivates you is your interest. Anything feels natural, comfortable to relate might be your interest. Anything which makes you to say or react or respond that I love that or I want it is your interest. And anything which makes you feel that's me, that's my type, is definitely can be considered as your interest. So if you are clear with the definition or the summary of what interest is, so then we will move on. So conflict of interest. So what am I trying to talk about here? See, conflicts of interest can happen at a hexagon or a triangle level. So don't worry about those words hexagon and triangle at the moment. So give me some time and I will explain you, and you will know the meaning as well as the benefit eventually. Let me introduce the interest hexagon, which is also popularly known as the Holland code or Holland hexagon model, which you might be aware of. Here the point is, interest hexagon represents the 6 broad categories of interest to which your career or a job belongs to. That means your job or career belongs to either of these 6 categories. So this is how an interest hexagon looks like. So there can be a 6 broad categories of interest. If I start with, let's say, the realistic, that is, either you might be like doing. Investigative, that is, either you might be like to think. Artistic, either you might be like to create. Helping, either you might be like to help. Persuading, that is, either you might like to persuade. Or organizing, that's what you might like, so that might be your interest, that is conventional. So now this is what is the reference of an hexagon I am talking about, that is interest hexagon. Now I want to give you little more details to make you understand better and help you in understanding your own hexagon conflict. So before that, let me give you some more information about these types. Suppose if you are a person who is realistic, then definitely you like to work with tools or machines, animals. You definitely value practical things which you can see and touch, like plants and animals you can grow, or things you can build or make better. The things which you dislike or generally avoid is the activities like teaching, counseling, nursing, and informing others, anything to do with the people. And the self image which you believe and you project is always like a practical, a mechanical, and a realistic person. So that's about realistic. Next is the conventional. So if you are a conventional, if you have conventional interest, then we would say that you likes to work with numbers, records, or machines in a set and an orderly way. And you definitely value success in business. That means the output. And the things you dislike probably is generally avoid ambiguous and unstructured activities. And the self image would be like self as an orderly and good at following a set plan. So that's the self image. So if your interest is enterprising, then definitely you like to lead and persuade people and sell things to and ideas to people. And you value success in example like politics, leadership, or business. The dislike would be generally to avoid activities that require the careful observation and scientific and analytic thinking. So the self image you project always is as an energetic, ambitious and a sociable person. The social type, if your interest is social, then likes to do things to help people like teaching, counseling, nursing or giving information, value helping people and solving social problems more than anything else. And the dislikes would be to avoid using machines, tools or animals to achieve your goal. And the image which you project is as helpful, friendly and trustworthy. If you are of an artistic interest, then you like to do creative activities like art, drama, crafts, dance, music or creative writing, and you value the creative arts, that is the creative expression or the works of creative writers. So generally you avoid highly ordered or repetitive activities. So you see yourself as an expressive, original and independent. Suppose if your interest is investigative, then you like to study and solve math or science problems, has a good skill set solving science and math problems, and you value science, that means scientific thinking. Dislike would be to stay away or avoid leading, selling or persuading people, and your self image would be of a precise, scientific and an intellectual human being. So when you look at this table, I want you to notice that for every interest there is a like and a dislike, which is actually the opposite, and that is what we are calling the hexagon of conflict of interest. So hexagon conflict of interest occurs when the topic or the activity of your career or a current job falls exactly opposite to your interest in the interest hexagon. So how does it look like? It looks like this, where you can clearly see these red arrows. See, you can clearly see that realistic is exactly opposite to the social, and enterprising is exactly opposite to thinking, and then conventional is exactly opposite to artistic. So now let's look at some of the hexagon conflict classic examples. So if there is a conflict between realistic and social, how might it look like in real life? It can be something like someone who is very interested in interacting with people, helping people, but working in an engineering and a manufacturing industry and a job and role and responsibilities. For example, if there is a hexagon conflict between investigative and enterprising, then you can say, for example, a very good technical person who performs very well technically, like let's say for example a software engineer, and then he gets promoted and he becomes a project manager. So now it's a difficult part, there is a conflict. And for example, if you take conventional versus artistic conflict, I can say a very good independent, intuitive, creative person working in an administrative department. So that is a direct conflict. So this is what I mean by the hexagon conflict classic examples. So now let me introduce to the interest triangle, right? See, you have seen the interest hexagon. Now I am talking about interest triangle. So what is it basically? So interest triangle will be formed. Let us say, for example, there is an interest called realistic. Then the interest which is left and right of that is definitely is somewhat related to that, or it will go well with it, and three together will form an interest triangle. That means, for example, if you take the realistic, then the one next to that is conventional, and on the other side is the investigative. So these three form an interest triangle. So this interest triangle you can see forming for all the six interests, like for realistic, social, conventional, artistic, investigative and enterprising. So now why I'm talking about this interest triangle, which is very interesting, right? So interest triangle is where you can further dive deep into your interest and your further conflicts. For example, let me take up now the triangle conflict of interest. What is it really? Triangle conflict of interest occurs when the topic or the activity of your career or a job is not the primary interest of your triangle of interest. So what we mean by that, let me just give you a pictorial representation. Let us say, for example, your primary interest is real estate, but you are stuck with a job which has very less to do with realistic, but more to do with conventional and somewhat less to do with the investigative. Then now this is a problem. This is an interest triangle problem. So let me give you the some of the triangle conflict classic examples. So the first one is investigative, creative, social. Let's say this is your triangle of interest, right? So then the example can be someone's primary interest is imagining, creating, but he is doing a problem solving job in a social sector organization. Of course, it touches upon his other two secondary interests like investigative and social, but his primary interest is creative. That's where he is struggling. Next is enterprising, social, artistic. Let's say someone's primary interest is social, that is interacting, being friendly, supporting, but she is stuck in a sales and marketing role with some artistic outlets in terms of presentation and negotiation and so on. So now there is a problem because person's primary interest is social but not enterprising. The next is the conventional, realistic, investigative. Let's say someone's primary interest is hands-on, right, realistic, and a bit of investigative type, but he is sitting in an administrative desk job which is highly conventional, rich and conventional oriented. Then the person struggles. Then we have artistic, investigative, realistic. See, someone's primary interest is thinking, that is investigative, problem solving, but he is doing hands-on machinery work with some artistic expressions mechanically. That is more of a realistic job. Then there is a huge struggle. And then enterprising, conventional and realistic. See, someone is very procedural, facts and figures oriented and bit of an hands-on guy, but let's say he is promoted as head of engineering, sales and marketing team, which requires persuading and managing people. So then there is a problem because the person is highly conventional and that's not his primary interest. So this is what about the triangle conflict of interest. Now to come to the end of this the video, why I am struggling in my career, conflict of interest. So then it boils down to either an hexagon conflict of interest or a triangle conflict of interest. So if you are struggling in your job and having tough days, having Monday morning blues, then I want you to really look at whether either of these conflict is happening. So what is your conflict of interest right now in your current job? So please let me know the same in the comments below. So if you have liked this video, please give a thumbs up, and then if these kind of videos make your life better and provide solutions to the problems which you are going through, so please consider subscribing to my channel, What to Do with My Life. And then thank you for watching, and let me see you in the video and the coming video. Thank you.